Here we are again, the Prairie Orchard on June 7th, 2014. I'm doing a fruit update. If you look earlier on my YouTube channel, you'll see an earlier update on my fruit shortly after blossom. Actually saw little fruitlets at that time, and fancy that. Actually, some of the fruit is surviving and is growing quite well. This is our white doyen pear tree, and this is now a year and a half in the ground out here on the prairie, and I've been protecting it pretty well from the deer with my deer net. As you can see, many of the fruitlets have continued to grow and are really looking nice. So there's a nice little fruitlet there, as well as some scattered around this tree. I'm thinking about trimming a few of these fruitlets because they are taking energy from the tree. I would like this tree to actually do some significant growth this year, so I might actually later on today cut off some of these fruit. On the other hand, it doesn't have as many fruit as I initially thought it did, given the really huge load of blooms and fruitlets it had the last time we looked at the tree. Just over here to the south of our white doyen is our Bosque pear tree, and while we didn't have a major crop this year, we actually do have a number of fruits that are growing here, and so we'll have a few Bosque pears to munch on this year, which is really exciting. So I'm going to step over to some of our other fruit. Over here we got some grapes and actually a pear and an apple tree that I am just starting to espalier here on these guide wires. We certainly haven't got anywhere near the espalier look yet, nor do we have any blooms or fruit, but hopefully in the next few years I'll be using those espaliers for a breeding program, or at least that's what I hope to do. Here are some of our grapes. You'll notice that we got actually some blooms and some fruit that are actually just starting up here on our grapes, which is really exciting. They were really tasty last year. A nice little treat up here on our orchard hill. A couple other views of our grapes that are developing here on our prairie orchard. At some point we'll get out my book and look up the names, but unfortunately I've forgotten some of the names. The grapes that I planted here in this location, I believe, were red grapes, and I'm looking forward to having some deep red grapes later on this summer. I'm going to step on over to another part of the prairie orchard, and we'll take a look at fruit there. Here we are looking at our Juneberries, which continue to develop. I think these trees or bushes had a little bit of a late start this year because of the winter vortex, and as such we're here in June and it doesn't look like they're anywhere near ready yet. On the other hand, they're pretty sizable. They've almost reached mature size. They've just got a significant amount of ripening and color change that needs to take place. So they probably won't be too behind schedule this year, maybe in about 2 to 3 weeks. Really exciting this year was the first bloom of 3 of our young apple trees. This Cavio Blanc d'Hiver tree here, the second one there, Ashmead Kernel, and the one behind it is Asopus Spitzenberg. You know, while I didn't really anticipate having a whole lot of fruit this year because we don't have a lot of blooming apples yet, most of my trees, as you can see down the rows over here, are very, very young. But it turns out that indeed we actually do have a few fruit this year, and so just wanted to show you here our young Cavio Blanc d'Hiver apple hiding behind that leaf there. You can see it. There's another one right over here. And I have to tell you, as somebody who's just starting an orchard, this is really something to celebrate. I'm excited about it. I certainly hope that one or more of these apples over the next couple months arrives at a full ripe stage so we can give it a taste. Over here in our Ashmead's kernel, there are a couple fruit as well. They're on the other side of the tree, if I remember correctly. And there's one right there. It looks like it has sort of these ridges in it, which I'm wondering if those ridges represent the sort of early ribbing of a tree. I'll just have to read up on Ashmead's kernel and see if there is significant ribbing in Ashmead kernel apples. There's another small apple up there. And then over here at our Asopus Spitzenberg, we have a couple apples that I saw earlier. I'm just going to take a look here and find them for you. There it is right there. It's sitting there in the dark, but again, we're really lucky to have some of our first apples here in the brand new prairie orchard with our heritage or antique apple trees. I'll walk over near the driveway to check out some of our pear trees over there. You may recall that we looked at this red pear or red Bartlett tree earlier in a video where we had some small fruitlets, but unfortunately those fruitlets are gone. I'm not sure if they were eaten by a deer or a bird, but they're completely gone. It's not like they were diseased, because I would expect they would still be here on the tree someplace. On the other hand, over here in the green Bartlett tree, we actually continue to have some fruit, though fewer fruit than we had earlier. This one has been without any deer protection, and I think that you can see that basically the deer have been trimming and browsing on this tree, so I suspect that some of the fruit were taken by deer, but the ones that are higher up are actually doing quite well, still intact, and I'm hoping that through the course of the summer we get to watch them grow big and sweet. Here we are on the east edge of our property looking at some of our cherry trees here, and this cherry tree has only a few cherries left. Again, I wonder if some predator like a bird has come to take some of these fruit away. We actually have a handful of fruit left that are nowhere near ripe, but we'll watch them over the next few months. I don't remember the type of cherry tree that we have here, but some pretty little cherries there. And then just a few feet away we have another cherry tree here. Seems to have more fruit on it. Some of it has been, I guess, affected by disease, but the others seem still well intact. I am organic here on this prairie with a no spray policy. There's actually nothing applied to these trees, and I know that my fruit are going to be disfigured if I'm going to have any fruit at all, but I'm trying to adhere to principles of taking care of the prairie and the pollinators that make the prairie a success, so I'm using no spray. We'll see how many fruit we have in the next few weeks. So the final fruit I wanted to show you here are the quince that are growing here on our flowering quince. You can see them scattered throughout this bush that's right next to our front porch. And I guess what's interesting about this plant is that we actually even still have some blooms that are going here. That very pretty characteristic color of flowering quince. And I'm not sure why we're having flowers and fruit, in other words, fruit at different stages of development. I think part of it is that this side of the bush, as you can see, looks younger than the far side of the bush. And that was related to, I think, a lot of the deer grazing that took place on this bush earlier this year in the winter. During the winter vortex, when those deer ran out of food, they came in and they really damaged the north side, which is this side of the bush, and they left the far side of the bush very much intact. So I think that probably explains why we have actually such late blooms on this side and young wood on this side compared to the fruit and older wood on the other side of the bush. So that's it from the Prairie Orchard here in Southwest Michigan. Looking forward to my next update of fruit probably in 2 or 3 weeks.